So now let's move on to the scoreboard itself. There are 3 parts to the scoreboard: the break, the run, and the statistics. At the top of the scoreboard, you're going to see all the player information: their name, the game you're playing, what rack you're on, and your running total match. Below the board, there are 4 buttons, and these are some pretty useful tools to know. The first button we'll talk about is the back button. So you've made a mistake in your scoring. It happens. You can use this button to go back to previous games and make corrections, but be warned, you can only go back 2 games. The review button. At any time during your match that you use this button to review what you have entered for your scores. If you think that maybe you made an error, use this button to review what you entered so you can verify it is what you actually scored. The rules button. If you are unsure about a rule and you need to look it up, the game rules for the game you are playing can be accessed here. The end match button. If for some reason you want to end your match, click on the end match button. Just be warned, if you end your match will be void and no refund will be issued. Below that, you'll see the balls on the break, and that's a very easy way to click a number after you count the balls on the break to select that number, and it automatically updates your score. Below that, you'll see a scratch on the break. It's a very easy way. If you scratch, it'll automatically enter your -1 for you. Below that, if you make the money ball, the 8 ball, the 9 ball, or the 10 ball on the break, depending on the game you're playing, it'll automatically add 1 point for your score there. Makes it very convenient so you don't have to think too much. You just press on a button and grab the cue ball and run. So let's talk about if you have multiple players. On this scoreboard, the only thing that's going to change is at the top, the player who's playing will be flashing. So that way everybody knows, whoever's keeping score will know whose turn it is, and it'll have all the rest of the information right below that. So the only difference between single player and multiple player is the name will flash and the running total will be different for that player. Now the last button is the confirm button. Once you've entered everything that happened on the break in the game you're scoring, the next button will turn green to let you know you've entered all the pertinent information required to go to the next screen. The next screen is what we call the run. The run starts with the first shot after the break. Now we're on the run screen. The top of the screen displays the exact same information that we reviewed on the break. The numbered buttons is where you will mark how many balls you pocketed after your break. Do not count the balls pocketed on the break because we've already scored that on the break screen. The additional game ball boxes for if you make a combination or a carom on the game ball during the game. Each time this happens in one game, you will change the count to reflect the total times you've successfully made the game ball out of turn and respotted it. An additional point will be given for each occurrence. Again, if you've pocketed an early game ball, that ball must be respotted prior to taking your next shot, or it's a foul and it's game over. There's one last helpful tool that you have on the scoreboard. Underneath the stats and the next button, you will see a scoring for the current game and the previous game. When entering your score, you can refer to this like seeing things like if you're on a cut game or if you're on a snap game or trying to add how many points you made on the run. For example, let's say you're playing 10 ball. You look down and you see you made 1 ball on the break. You have 3 balls left after your run on the table so that your run were at 7 balls total pocketed. Now you know you made 1 ball on the break, so you would enter a total for 6 balls on the run, totaling 7 balls. Statistics are kept on every match. Below your entries for your run are the statistics that you will select for your game. This is where you will enter what happened to finish your game. Let's quickly review the terminology. A scratch. On your last shot, did you make a ball and scratch? If you did, you'll click this button. If you did not pocket a ball on your last shot and you scratched, then you would mark the statistic as a miss. Now let's talk about fouls. In these matches, we play all ball fouls. So if you touch or move any ball with your hand, your hair, your clothing, your bridge, or any other piece of equipment, the game is over. It's all ball foul. There's no point deduction for a ball foul, but it will finish that game. Other fouls are jumping the cue ball off the table, or hitting any other ball off the table, hitting the wrong ball first, or not driving a ball to the rail. When selecting a scratch or a foul, for the stat menu will expand and ask you how many balls did you pocket on your last shot. If you mark 0, nothing changes. If you pocketed a ball and scratched or fouled, then you'd enter how many balls were pocketed on that last shot. As we all know, No credit is given when there's a foul or a scratch. The balls pocketed on that shot are not added to your score, even though you mark them for your ball count. Miss and position error. The miss and position error stat is at the player's discretion. Rule of thumb is, if you've left yourself a shot that has a 30% or less chance for you to pocket the ball, not a pro, you, then you would mark it as a position error. Now, if you leave yourself a higher percentage shot, but you ended up on the wrong angle for position and you end up having to do some crazy thing to get position on your next ball and you missed the shot because of that, then that is a miss, since the ball itself was a makeable shot without the craziness you put on the cue ball to get to your next ball. After you've selected your stat for the game, the next bar will turn green and you will click Next. You will continue to mark each game in this manner until you have completed scoring 11 games. If you have read the rules and watched all 3 parts of the scoring tutorial, you're ready to go. Good luck, and may the rolls come your way.